Hello, welcome along to the Footy Accumulators Betting Show with me, Will Perry, former Bayern and Villa striker Alan McInally, and our betting expert James Vickers. As always, these two are going to go head-to-head in the NAP Challenge. We're going to look at a match in focus this week as well, and hopefully pick another successful Acca, because, boys, the monkey is off the back. We've finally done it.
By the way, can I just say something? I've never had such a restless Sunday in all my life until the final whistle went. Of all the pressure on me to get it right on Leipzig, which, to be fair, although Köln, who I thought did really well, genuinely, took the lead first, kind of went out easy winners, but it was fantastic to get a nice little accumulator up,
Yeah, I hope you guys at home followed that one. I know there was a few on there, James messaging you on Twitter and all the social media platforms saying that thank you very much for a nice weekend. We went Dortmund, Bayern 2, Hertha Berlin and Leipzig, and we've got that at 13-2 boosted from 5-1 with Paddy Pawar, who are going to be boosting today's Acca for us as well. So no draws on match week 29, which is interesting. Another 5 away wins. That's becoming a theme, isn't it, after the restart? Victory on Friday for Leverkusen, Bayern, Frankfurt, Hertha, Werder Bremen and Hoffenheim, all on Saturday. Dortmund and Mönchengladbach, comfortable winners on the Sunday, with Leipzig easing past Cologne on Monday night. So in terms of the Bundesliga table, we're recording this, of course, before Wednesday's game between Werder Bremen and Frankfurt. So Bayern still 7 points clear, with Dortmund, Leipzig and Mönchengladbach in the Champions League spots. Paderborn stay bottom of the Bundesliga, but Werder Bremen closing in on a relegation playoff place and potentially even safety as well. Can they pull off the great escape? 5 games to go, 2 wins and a draw in their last 3. Al, want to talk to you about Timo Verner, because he's been linked with so many Premier League clubs over the years. I mean, he's been linked all over the world, isn't he? An incredible talent. Where do we think that he is going to end up next season? Interesting to see today that release clause of £49 million, €55 million has to be met by the 15th of June.
I think someone will pay that money for him. I do. I think he's a very good player. I nearly say he's an all-rounder there. I sound like a cricketer. I think he's got in his arsenal, he's such a good football player. He's a clever football player. I think he can play up top. I think he can play behind. And I think he can play on either side, which if you have that and you're not just a one-trick pony, I think you're going to be pretty sought after. 55, still a lot of money, isn't it, after all? But maybe not nowadays, but certainly the way the world has gone in the last couple of months, I don't know if anybody wants to pay that kind of money for anybody, but it's certainly one of the players up and coming for sure, that a lot of the big clubs. Now, I think already there's been some contact with Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. Liverpool are looking to obviously strengthen their squad, albeit a squad that they've got at the moment. Bayern will definitely be in for him. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt. But I think I'd probably pay the money for him. He's a very, very clever football player. And you only have to watch him. You know, he's such an important player for Leipzig. He genuinely is. And he'll get 60, 70 caps for Germany if he stays fit. That's how good he is.
Yeah, James, I mean, since the restart, 4-4 for Werner, 25 in the Bundesliga so far this season. That's going to go up, isn't it, in the next 5 games or so. 32 in 44 for club and country. Only 24 years old. Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United. Where do you think he would have the biggest impact if he was to come to the Premier League?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say Liverpool sort of off the bat with the way they play. I think he's perfectly suited to that Liverpool team, that fast attacking style. And I think it's been no secret in recent sort of months that Jurgen Klopp has wanted an extra forward in that line. Obviously, they've got Origi and Shaqiri as well, but they don't offer that same sort of versatility and just raw pace that Werner possesses. You look to his goal against Köln the other night, where Gulaschi has the ball, kicks it out straight away, he's through on goal, and a very composed finish, slots it around the keeper. So I think Liverpool definitely would be where sort of, if I was a Liverpool sort of board member looking to strengthen, I'd definitely go for Werner. I think in terms of, say, like Manchester United, as you mentioned, that kind of player is another player that they're screaming out for. I think I read a stat the other day that they haven't had a player go over 20 goals a season, United, since Wayne Rooney. And if you look at the strikers they've had since then, they're crying out for that forward who can get them out of tricky situations in the tight games. United have drawn sort of far too many games this season, and for a difference maker like Werner to come in and take some of that pressure off Rashford, potentially in that forward area, be another good.
Yeah, Alan, I was just going to say, does he have to play up top, or can he play anywhere across the front three?
Yeah, I think he probably can. I think that's what James right when he mentions versatility. That's the word I was looking for earlier on when I was saying he can play anywhere. But I genuinely think he's good enough and he's got a good football brain. If you watch him, it's not all, and he's not that flash either. He just seems to work. He definitely has pace, but he doesn't give the ball away very often. That's what I like about him. If you watch him, unless he gets really closed down by players, which he's obviously going to be because he's going to be targeted after all, he doesn't give the ball away a lot. And he's a good passer of the ball into forward areas. That's what I really like about him. I'm glad you mentioned Manchester United because they're going to be under pressure to get whoever's available. And I include Kai Havertz in that. Of course, the young boy at Leverkusen who just might be a good fit for them. So there's certainly in the Bundesliga at the moment plenty of good young players that a lot of the big clubs will be looking at. And there's two obviously predominant ones in the Bundesliga at the moment. Or rather, I should throw Sancho in. We'll probably get to him later on. But certainly Werner and Havertz are high on the list for sure.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Kai Havertz in a bit more detail later because, as you say, big link with Manchester United this week as well. Apart from that, James leading 3-2 now in the NAP Challenge. Let's move on to that and remind everyone that if you're looking for additional stats and trends ahead of the Bundesliga this week, make sure that you download the Footy Accumulators Betting Hub app. Give the smart Acca function a try. Remember, you've got to be 18 plus to gamble, and please bet responsibly. So 3-2, Mr. Vickers. James, you picked Hertha Berlin to beat Augsburg. That finished 2-0. Alan, you went with that Leipzig victory on Monday night, and it finished 4-2 to Leipzig. This week, then, we've got a choice of on Friday, Freiburg, Mönchengladbach. Saturday, Leverkusen, Bayern, Frankfurt, Mainz, Düsseldorf taking on Hoffenheim, Leipzig, Paderborn, and Dortmund, Hertha on Sunday. Werder Bremen, Wolfsburg, Union Berlin against Schalke, and Augsburg, Cologne. James, you're in front. You're going first.
Yeah, you mentioned that Hertha game. I was sat there watching through my hands towards the end of that. Augsburg rattled the crossbar with about 5 minutes to go, and I thought, oh no, here we go. Alan's going to catch me up. But yeah, Hertha held on, got that 2-0 win in the end, and yeah, 3-2. I remember getting a bit of flack off Alan last week saying I was taking it too safe and going with a safe bet every week. So I'm going to put my neck on the line a little bit this week. I'm going to go with the Frankfurt-Mainz game. But I'm going to have Frankfurt to win and over 2.5 goals. So I'm spicing it up a little bit in terms of adding that on as well, so I can have no complaints over Alan.
In my head, all I can hear is showboat. He's showing off now, isn't he?
Coming off the back of a big Acca win, so I can afford to be a little bit flash this week. Gone with Frankfurt. There's been signs in recent weeks that they're starting to turn it around. They had a really good win away at Wolfsburg, which not a lot of people saw coming after Wolfsburg's win against Leverkusen in the match day before. So Frankfurt, turning it around. There's a real onus on them now to put a little bit of a run together and really pull clear of that relegation zone. I think they've left it too late in the season to get into Europe, but the onus is on them to pull away because the teams below them, you look at the likes of Werder Bremen, are starting to play themselves into a little bit of form now. So yeah, they need to go out and get a win. I fancied them to do it against Mainz, and I think 5 of Frankfurt's last 6 games have all been over 3 goals as well. So I think that 2.5 or over 2.5 goals is looking like a sort of a cert for that. Odds of 1.48 to 1, so decent odds as well, and a game that I expect Frankfurt to win.
Okay, yeah, straight win for Frankfurt. Incidentally, would have just been a 10 to 11 for that home win for Frankfurt over Mainz. Big man, what are you saying?
Right, I'm going to put my neck on the line a little bit here. I think it's quite a tough weekend, genuinely. I know you mentioned the Freiburg-Leverkusen game, and I would imagine Leverkusen... what's the game tonight? Mönchengladbach. Yeah, so I'm going to stay clear of that. The Düsseldorf-Hoffenheim I looked at, I think it's really tough. Bremen-Wolfsburg, I'd be tempted to go Wolfsburg, although Bremen are climbing for their lives. So I'm going to go and stick with what I saw on Monday night. I wasn't particularly unimpressed by Köln. I just think Leipzig was simply too good for them. The boy Cordoba, who actually went off, and Modeste, who's quite experienced striker, got a great goal. And they're at Augsburg, and the boy Florian Kainz, who bagged a goal a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to go for Köln to win away from home and kind of keep on the trend that maybe home advantage isn't that brilliant. They've scored 1 goal, by the way. Augsburg drew with Paderborn. They got beaten in the 91st minute by Wolfsburg. They did beat, I'm trying to think who they beat. Was it Schalke they beat? I think it was James. Was it Schalke also? Yeah, they beat, but we know that Schalke have been so poor. But in terms of home performances, I haven't been impressed by Augsburg at all. And I think that Köln might just have enough. Köln as well are not exactly in the best place in the world, are they? I mean, they're only in 11th. albeit they're 3 points ahead of Augsburg. And I think if they can go there, get the points, I think they can relax a little bit more in the last 4 games. So it's a bit of a head on the block job, and I'm going really on what I saw against a very good Leipzig team on Monday night. So I'm going to go Köln to win at Augsburg.
Nice. Okay, right. Let's move on to our match in focus this week, which was quite an easy one to pick, wasn't it, guys? Leverkusen against Bayern, first versus fifth, 9 points between them. You forget, James, don't you? Well, I forgot, certainly, that Leverkusen, they won 2-1 at the Allianz back in November.
Yeah, that's right. Leon Bailey scoring both the goals. And it's a fixture in recent time over the last 18 months that Leverkusen have done really well in. One at the Allianz, as you said, they won the return, or this game last season at Leverkusen as well, coming from 1-0 down to win 3-1. So there's recent history there to suggest that Leverkusen can cause an upset against Bayern. As a Dortmund fan, I'm really hoping they will do and make that title race a little bit more interesting, but try and close the gap down to 4 points again. But yeah, Leverkusen, I don't see any reason why they can't go into this game, full of confidence. I think a lot of it will hinge on whether Kai Havertz is fit. We talked about him earlier, went off with a bit of a knock in the Freiburg game. Peter Bosz has come out this week and said that it's nothing too serious and he doesn't expect him to miss any time. Whether they risk him for this one or save him and then get him playing the rest of the season, remains to be seen. But I think they will put him back in. They've got Kevin Volland was back in the squad as well for the Freiburg game, who's been a really big miss for them this season. And while Havertz has been playing phenomenally well in that sort of number 9 position, his best position is just off the striker. So Volland coming back in and Havertz coming a bit deeper will really benefit Leverkusen as well. So, yeah, a lot to play for in this game for both sides. I think if Bayern win, that's more or less the title done and dusted. Leverkusen still trying to get into those Champions League places. So really looking forward to this one.
Do you know what, Al? I've never watched so much Bundesliga football in my life, obviously with the Prem being on the back seat. And I've been so impressed by Kai Havertz. I think he's got absolutely everything. And we've talked about him so much on this show, haven't we, over the last month or so. But news around this week that Manchester United, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is interested, 50 million quid. Like, I know we said 50 million quid for Timo Verner, it may be a lot, but these days that's your old 10 million quid, isn't it? I mean, that's a snap for someone like him at his age.
Well, he's under 21 or he's 21, whatever he is. He's already got 35 goals, which is a record apparently for a Bundesliga player to get before you get to the age of 21. I mean, he's making records. He's just, I still see him as raw, but in time, he's going to be fantastic. It's as simple as that, because he looks as though his touch is really good. Do you know what he is? He's brave. He's really brave, and that's what I quite like about him. He's not, he's not one that, so far anyway, he doesn't seem to go to ground easy. He seems to be up for all the fight, which I think is a really good thing in a football player, certainly apart from his own pride, but the conscientiousness to go and try and get into a position where he's going to score goals. I mean, he's, I don't know, James, what is he, 6'4", 6'5", he's a big lad, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 6'4", so that helps you in set pieces for, and obviously set pieces against. So I can understand why Manchester United are interested. The boy's a really good player. I just think he's a great fit for Leverkusen, and I think I said this a couple of weeks ago that Michael Ballack had kind of pleaded with him to stay at Leverkusen at least for another year so that he gets even better, and obviously Leverkusen have the benefit of that. It will be more of a test, this game particularly, more of a test for the defence and try and keep in Bayern not scoring goals. But if he can buy a couple or even a goal against Bayern, with the way they're playing with, David, they're talking about David Alaba now being the best centre-back in Germany or one of the best centre-backs in Europe, for goodness sake. So not easy considering you've got Alphonso Davies on one side and Benjamin Pavard on the other. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're right to pinpoint Havertz as one of the main threats for Bayern because he's so good. We have to remember he's still just a young guy, but potentially he's going to be. I can't wait to see him when he's 24, 25, because I'm telling you now, he's not as strong as he's going to be, for sure, but he's certainly got it all.
So exciting, isn't he, James? Just finally on Havertz, 5 goals in 4 games since the restart. And if we focus on Manchester United and potentially where he would fit into that side, you've got players like Jesse Lingard completely out of form. And he said he's so versatile, isn't he, like Werner? I mean, he could play out wide, he can play off the front, he could play as a number 9. It's exciting to think, isn't it? The idea, and this is coming from a Manchester City fan, as much as it pains me to say, it's exciting to think that, him and Bruno Fernandes linking up together.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he'd be perfectly suited for Premier League football. Alan mentioned the word bravery there. Some of his goals that he scored since the restart, for a player who's 21 and, not physically bulked out yet, he's putting himself into some sort of dangerous areas where an experienced striker may not even want to get into. I remember there was a header he scored a couple of weeks ago, took an absolute walloping as he scored that. The Freiburg goal where he tucked it under the keeper's legs, got tackled by the keeper and the centre-back as he sort of jumped in to poke it through the keeper's leg. So he's certainly not afraid to put himself about. And to come back to what you said, Will, about he can sort of play anywhere across that forward line. In terms of Manchester United, that is what they're crying out for. That number 10, you mentioned Jesse Lingard, there's Andreas Pereira, really haven't sort of kicked on as the way United would expect them to. And I think the way he can sit in, he can play as a false nine. If there's injuries, he can play left, he can play right, or he can play down the middle. And I think that kind of player is the player that United are just crying out for at the moment. They seem to have the strikers sorted. For the most part, I think they still could do with one more centre midfield with the likes of Fred, Pogba, McTominay. They seem to be getting there with that, but it's just that player to link the two together now. And I think Havertz is that player who can really sort of hold that jigsaw together for them.
Do you know, James, when I think about, let's just say he goes to Man United, in my head right away I've got, forget about him playing left and right. I think he's your focal point. I think he's your Van Nistelrooy there. Because, he's still going to develop. He's going to obviously develop at Manchester United as well. I think they would play him up top. You can forget about Lingard, not good enough for Manchester United. He certainly looked as though he would be at one point, and it's just not happened for him. I don't think Martial's that happy. And I think you could play Rashford, who's fantastic, by the way, anywhere. And I think you have him as your centre, your focal point up top, and then play whomever in those wider areas to get the ball into the box as well as it coming from the middle of the park. I think it'd be such an exciting signing for Manchester United. And I see him as a fit more than the likes of Werner, etc., or certainly the players have already got, because they rely on Rashford so much, Man United. That is one of the most important places for me. I think they need to strengthen to actually make them the more dangerous Manchester United that we normally want to watch.
But Al, do you know what? Your old boys would be mad not to take him, wouldn't they? Bayern Munich. I mean, why would they let him leave the Bundesliga? Maybe this is his final audition to seal a move to the champions.
I thought you were going to say Air United. Yeah, listen, okay, I watched the German obviously as well, and the English. But you're right, Bayern. Lewandowski's the man. He's simply the man. But if you're Kai Havertz, do you want to go to Bayern and sit on the bench for a year? What a place to learn your business that is. What a place. And incidentally, he will get opportunities. There's no question. Because the way Bayern play, they could also play two up top if they wanted. They just have such a lot of pick to come from. I think Coutinho, he'll be going, so there'll be a place kind of in that front line. But if Bayern were to prize him away from everybody else, I can see them probably wanting to do it well, genuinely. Keep him in Germany, keep him at the best club in the country, and he can maybe just be replacing Lewandowski in a year's time.
I'll tell you what I fancy, James, just looking at it, and I've got one hand here to the left on my phone, is a Kai Havertz anytime, 15-8 in that game. Ooh. 13-2 first goal scorer, 15-8 anytime. Oh. Let's move on and talk about a man that Alan just mentioned there, James, in Philippe Coutinho, because on loan at Bayern Munich, Bayern are not exercising that clause that they've got in the contract to make that permanent. So he'll be going back to Barcelona. Hasn't worked at Barca, hasn't really worked at Bayern. Started really well there, but obviously had this ankle surgery and faded away, didn't he, in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think while he started okay this season, I think they would have liked him to have a bit more of an impact. I think what, aside from the injury, has really hampered him staying at Bayern permanently has been the re-emergence of Thomas Muller. Coutinho came in the summer with the intention of replacing Muller in that forward area. There was talk of Muller leaving, and since Hansi Flick's come in and replaced Niko Kovac, Muller looks like a brand new signing. So I can understand why Bayern haven't taken up that offer to extend and make it permanent on Coutinho. I think that says more about how well Muller's played than Coutinho. Coutinho's been very unlucky with injuries, and he did sort of start all right for a player coming into the Bundesliga for the first time. Where he'd end up next, is anyone's guess. Has been taught from his agent saying that he loved playing in the Premier League over the last few days. So I can see him potentially going back to the Premier League. But then you look at who he's going to sort of take that gamble on him. It's not really worked out, as you so will, at Barca or at Bayern Munich for him. So potentially a Man United. I don't think he'd be in that same ilk as a Kai Havertz, who we were talking about, or a Timo Verner, but he'd certainly add something to that midfield. Can't see him going back to Liverpool.
Man City?
Potentially. I think David Silva's
got that little,
Yeah, David Silva obviously is on his way out. Whether he sort of extends now because of lockdown, he said he was going to leave at the end of this season. Whether he wants to get that sort of send-off from the fans, it'd probably be better to ask Will, being a City fan. But I think, definitely there's a place for him there at City. I think the way he plays and the way City play kind of suits each other down to a T with that.
Yeah, well, I think he's a huge name, isn't he? But I think the City fans, and I think and Pep, post David Silva, it's got to be Phil Foden, hasn't it? He's waited for his time and whatever. And I think that if he doesn't get that chance, then he'll be out the door. Just Al, finally on Coutinho, because Jose Mourinho said some really nice things about him this week. And this is a fascinating time of the year with agents doing their work. And as James said, he's been offered back to Liverpool. Liverpool maybe have their eyes on Timo Verner and the future rather than going back. But Coutinho back in the Premier League, look, we saw what he could do in that Liverpool team, and that was well before they rocketed into the side that they are now.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been a little disappointed, and I know that injuries is a dreadful thing as a football player because you just don't fulfil any potential to the team you go to, and that's kind of really been the problem for him at Bayern. He's a wonderful football player. When you watch him live, he's fantastic. He's really, really good. And a fit Coutinho probably gets into, he's certainly in and around the starting 11 at Manchester United, for sure. Man United, by the way, even as City, and I know Liverpool times are now behind them, etc. But I'd like to see him back in the Premier League. We quite like the best players in the world here. We've set ourselves up as the best league in the world, so we have to get the best players. I would imagine, to be honest, he might go back to Barcelona. Genuinely, I still think he just might go back to Barcelona unless somebody comes in with a concrete offer. And I mean to buy him rather than take him on loan again, because I don't think Barcelona really want him on loan. I think they either want him back or they want to sell him, get the deal done. And if he comes to England, I'll be delighted. He's a wonderful football player.
Still only 27 as well, Philippe Coutinho. Look, another name that popped up there, and I'm doing this thing with my left over here with my phone again, is Thomas Muller. I fancy that. You mentioned Thomas Muller's form. For me, Thomas Muller's like 45 years old. He's only 30. He's 30 years old. And again, he's exactly the same odds as Havertz that I've got in front of me here. 15-8 any time to score in that game between Leverkusen and Bayern Munich. 13-2 first goal scorer.
Well, I'm lucky. I know him relatively well. He is one character, by the way. I mean,
tell us about him.
Proper Bayerish, wir sind Weltmeister, he said, we are the world champion. He's drinking beer and he's pouring over his head, and obviously winning the World Cup, etc. But he's just got something about him, and he's a winner. He hates losing. He's like nagging at people, and that kind of thing. But he's got quite a dry sense of humour. Kind of, because I was in Germany for quite a long time, it's kind of like just that kind of way. But don't be surprised if he plays like that until he's 55, whatever he is, because he's got a real determination to win, and he's more of a fixture at Bayern Munich than you can imagine. He's very, very important in the dressing room as well, and I think he's pretty well respected. But he's got something about him that makes him exactly why we're talking about him just now. And he's a top guy, genuinely top guy. He's been a brilliant player for Bayern over the last 10 years.
Yeah. James, just looking at some prices as well, just the straight win for Bayern Munich, which we said before we came on air, didn't we, that it's still a great price. It's a huge price. 1-2 for the away Bayern win at Leverkusen are 9-2. What are you thinking then in terms of? I know you nearly had a first goal scorer come off and a whole combination of bets over the weekend, but just to rattle through a few more. Robert Lewandowski 20-10 first goal scorer, 4-9 anytime. Serge Gnabry 5-1, 7-5 anytime. Looking down that list, James, what do you fancy?
Yeah, there's a couple that stood out for me. I mentioned Leon Bailey earlier, 10-1 to get the first goal. For a player who scored 3 goals in his last 2 games against Bayern, definitely got to be in with a shout. I was having a look as well. Benjamin Pavard, I've been so impressed with him over the last few weeks. He's really kicked on as well. I thought he was a decent player, but he's really made that right-back position his own. Granted, they brought him in to play centre-back. And that goal threat he's provided in recent weeks, he got the first again, unlucky not to get the first against Fortuna. It went down as an own goal, and then got another goal later on in the game. He scored another one a few weeks ago, and for him to be 30-1 as first goal scorer for a game which I expect to be tight in the opening stages, if Bayern can get a set piece, he looks so dangerous in the air. I think definitely he's worth a shout. And then one that Alan picked out a few weeks ago, I think it was the Dortmund game, Leon Goretzka. Coming in from deep in that midfield, 11-1. So there's some really good odds in terms of first goal scorers. They'd be the sort of the three that I'd be looking to go for if I was to put sort of a couple of quid on one that I thought may or may not come in. But yeah, Benjamin Pavard at 30-1 for what he's done over the last few weeks is incredible odds, really.
Right, write this down. Penalty for Bayern. Lewandowski scores. Half time, 1-0 Bayern. Bayern, second half, Lewandowski scores again, 2-0, and Kai Havertz gets a consolation near the end. Leverkusen 1, Bayern 2, and you heard it here first on the Footy Accumulators Bundesliga Betting Show.
Have you had some sort of weird dream? That's
no, I can just see Lewandowski scoring. Another. What was he? Did he get 2 at the weekend? He got 2, didn't he?
Yeah, 2.
And I can see this speed, and I think James is spot on. I think this will be tight. I think I don't mean in terms of like yellow cards, but I think they'll get a penalty, Bayern, and I think they'll put Leverkusen under a bit of pressure. So I'm going to go penalty, Bayern, Leverkusen score, Bayern get another one, Leverkusen get a consolation, 1-2.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have a go on that one. I mean, look, Lewandowski, 29 Bundesliga goals. Lewandowski, absolute freak of nature, isn't he? And that is Saturday sorted, because look, we've got that game to sit down and watch between Leverkusen and Bayern Munich, which is a cracker. And then moving on to our Acca for the week, our Acca challenge after our successful one last week. What a game Dortmund against Hertha Berlin is, and I'm going to kick off with that one. If you guys are happy with me going Dortmund, I know Hertha are in really good form, but Dortmund walloped. Who did they wallop at the weekend?
Paderborn 6-1,
didn't they? Yeah, I thought they were absolutely exceptional. I know Paderborn bottom of the table, but I'm going to go for a Dortmund home win in the Acca. Happy?
Yep, happy. That'll be a good game actually, because Hertha, as you quite rightly said, Bruno Labbadia is flying there. All the players are coming out, giving it. The coach is fantastic. He's changed everything about us. But this is a bigger test naturally against Dortmund, and it'll be a good game. But yeah, I'm happy to go Dortmund at home for sure. Okay,
James, what are you thinking in the Acca? You sticking with the nap?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my nap. I'm going to go Frankfurt. Just a straight win, though, in the Acca. Just to sort of cover my bets. I don't want to be the one who lets the side down after we won last week. So, yeah, Frankfurt for me. I think they'll just have a bit too much to sort of keep minds sort of at bay. So, yeah, Frankfurt.
Mr. McInally.
Right. Augsburg against Köln, and I should say Cologne, shouldn't I really? Cologne to win. I wasn't hugely unimpressed with their performance against Leipzig. I know they know where the back of the net is. Augsburg, apart from the goals they scored against Schalke, have struggled big time. Even against Paderborn, bottom of the league, they drew 0-0. I think Köln will go there and win. So I'm going to have just a straight win on Cologne. Hopefully the little lad, Florian Kainz or Modeste or Cordoba, if he's going to be fit, will have the shooting boots on and get me still in touch with James. As he flies on with Frankfurt. I'm going to be scared of that game, Frankfurt Mainz. But nevertheless, I'm going to go for Cologne to win. Fingers crossed anyway. I think that's on the Sunday, actually. I think it's on the Sunday.
Yes. Yeah,
Sunday. Okay. I'll have us waiting until Sunday this time.
Sunday, 5:00. You're keeping us waiting again, aren't you? Always the last one. Okay, so we've got to go for a fourth. Do you know what? You're scared about yours, Al, at Cologne. I'm scared of Dortmund Hertha, but there's not a lot that I'd want to touch apart from that. And we keep mentioning Werder Bremen every week. Werder Bremen Wolfsburg, steer clear of that one. So what can we settle on for a fourth?
Well, Leipzig scored loads of goals, James.
Yeah, I was looking at Leipzig. As you mentioned, Will, Dusseldorf against Hoffenheim, one I'd stay clear of. Bremen Wolfsburg, another I'd stay clear of. I think Leipzig is sensible. I think to get a bit better odds on it, I'm looking at maybe Leipzig at -2 handicap. 11-10 really boosts the Acca up. So with Leipzig...
What about Schalke?
Oh, God, no. I may as well just hand over my money to the bookies now if I bet on Schalke.
Union Berlin against Schalke. I'll just put a green line right through it and say, don't even talk about it. Right, yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. I think your Leipzig have scored, well, what did they get, did you say? Is it 6 goals? No, they got 4 goals, didn't they, against Cologne? Right, so, yeah, -2 against the bottom team, Paderborn. I don't think it's unrealistic. I'm quite happy with that.
How many did they get the week before? Didn't they?
No.
5 goals before, wasn't it?
The week before they played, they drew 2-2 with Hertha, if you remember.
Okay. Forget what I'm talking about. Right, so okay, we've got Dortmund, we've got Cologne, we've got Frankfurt, and we've got Leipzig at -2. James, in the calculator, please.
So that comes out 11.8 to 1. We should be able to get that boosted. So decent odds. The week before, actually, Leipzig put 5 past Mainz as well. So they've got 11 in their last 3. So
yeah. That was it. That was what I was thinking. So, all right. So we can get that boosted. Paddy Pawar will boost that one for us. And we're going to
what is it? Remind me so I write it down so I can have a bet.
Yeah. So we're going to go Dortmund. We're going to go straight win for Dortmund. Leipzig -2.
-2.
You've gone for Cologne and James is going for Frankfurt.
Yeah. Perfect. Brilliant.
And we've written your one down as well. Well, I'm just going to have to watch this back to do yours. That was so specific. I
was trying to put that into the Paddy Pawar app I've got on my computer here, and my hands were going all over the place. While Alan was going.
I've already got it. 1-0 half time. Lewandowski penalty. Lewandowski second in the second half, and anybody can score for Leverkusen as a consolation. Let's give it to Havertz. If I get that right, that's it. I go level with him because I got an extra one.
This time next year, Rodney, we're going to be millionaires. I tell you. Always great to catch up. And I tell you what, it won't be long, will it, before we're sticking accumulators on the Premier League as well, hopefully back on the 17th of June. So we're going to be doing a Premier League show on that one for sure as well. Remember, everyone watching, if you're looking for additional stats and trends, everything you need to know about the Bundesliga this week, make sure you download the Footy Accumulators Betting Hub app. Give that smart Acca function a try as well. Remember, you've got to be 18 plus to gamble. And please bet responsibly. Enjoy the games this week, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.